The last installment for the Venom trilogy has arrived. Venom: The Last Dance. Venom movies are the best out of the SSU, without a doubt, but that crown is very minimal, as even these aren't the best movies, especially compared to the MCU or Spider-Man. The developers tried really hard to conclude this trilogy on an epic note, but I think it felt rushed. I actually think this is the weakest of the series, which is kind of unfortunate because I was looking forward to watching it. It's okay, but it was certainly lacking a touch. Mainly a good execution touch, because this movie lacks that matching charm. So why did this movie end the Venom trilogy not on a high note, but a sour note? A lot just really hold this movie back, and that's what we will be talking about today. My movie review on Venom: The Last Dance. Before we start this video, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to see more content. Thank you, and enjoy. Firstly, the film's acting is amazing, like it has always been. Even though the cast is pretty small, you've got some good talent here. Tom Hardy is still as likable as ever. Christoph Fernandez offered some great performances, and Rhys Ifans is also great here, who also portrayed the Lizard, aka Dr. Kirk Connors, in The Amazing Spider-Man and also No Way Home. Chiwetel Ejiofor is also great as General Rex Strickland. Secondly, the action is incredible. It's very fast-paced and enjoyable to watch. I liked all the symbionts on screen together and watching them go all out on the Xenophage. Some other good action sequences are the underwater scenes, and even the one at the beginning with Venom freeing the dogs being funny to watch, but still fun. At least the action remains to be just as good as ever. This movie also helps introduce a new villain into the mix. Null. The next big villain. While The Last Dance concludes Eddie and Venom's story arc, it starts Null's story off and is just beginning, hence the reason why he's not fully present yet, and will be a major part in future movies. He's described as one of Marvel's most powerful supervillains in the comics, and they better not make him any weaker in the future, and instead show just how strong and terrifying he is, like Thanos. Just like its predecessors, The Last Dance manages to explore its elements very well. It has a very strong balance of horror and seriousness, like the other movies, but I think it's done even more here, perfectly showing both sides of the spectrum, with Venom and Eddie, as well as running from their world that's attacking them. It's kind of showing them both here, with Venom on the run from his world, and Eddie on the run from the headlines after the events of Let There Be Carnage. Lastly, the film is thankfully still pleasing to look at. There's a lot of globe-trotting locations to be seen here, having a little bit more variety. The visual effects match this, especially Las Vegas, which looks beautiful. At least the visual effects also look really nice, with Null's world being the best example. Even with a smaller budget, the film still looks nice in a bunch of scenes. Now time to see what this movie fails to achieve. Number 1, it feels uninspiring. It's essentially a copy and paste from its other movies. The plot remains thin, as all decent storylines are just thrown onto the field with nothing interesting to talk about. The symbionts are talked a lot, and there's not much else to offer, aside from Venom and Eddie being chased by the former's world. Second negative I have for this movie is its writing. The script in this is all over the place. Everything just felt forced here. It starts fast and then ends slow. They tried everything they can to make this an epic conclusion to Eddie and Venom's story, but instead, what we were given instead is a script that just never seems to end and go all out in a really mediocre style. Venom should not have died in this. Both of these dudes should have parted ways with each other. Simple as that. Something else that's disappointing about the film is that the dialogue is the weakest of the three films. There's really no memorable dialogue here at all, aside from a few gags. Even Venom himself isn't as funny as he was before. And Tom Hardy, while still entertaining and still gives out a good performance, looks like he was drunk on set. This also doesn't change the fact that there's little character development either. Another big hit for this movie is its continuity problems. At the end of Let There Be Carnage, Venom and Eddie are transported to Earth 616 by Doctor Strange's spell, and then they are both returned after the spell was restored. In this movie, however, none of that is really explained much. Venom also left behind a piece of himself on Earth 616, but in this, he leaves a piece of himself in the SSU universe instead. Retcon or not, we will not know for quite a good while now. Finally, the story itself isn't good either, because it never seems as full as the other movies. It doesn't do a good job, and it overall just feels like it's being carried by Eddie and Venom throughout the whole movie. Like this film was just left unfinished. At least you know what you are getting for the first movie, and even the second movie. Both of those are simple to watch. But in this, it's like you need to know a lot to follow the jumbled story. Everything just remains still. Overall, my final opinion on Venom, The Last Dance, well, it sure does exist. Venom, The Last Dance is at best very funny, the characters are still likable, the voice acting is great, and the editing remains well done. However, its storyline leaves much to be desired. The writing could have been so much better, as it felt not only very rushed, but also forced. Not just that, but if you've seen the first two movies and are a fan of those, this is basically the same thing. All of this movie can basically be summed up like this: a big mess. You can really see the writers just gave up here, especially of how little they did with Eddie and Venom's story. It just goes and goes, and it ends there. Go and give this a watch if you enjoy brainless movies, but you will definitely be wanting to yearn more of this questionable prequel. What is your opinion on Venom: The Last Dance? Do you find it to be a pretty forgettable installment in the trilogy? Are you hoping this at least sets the bar for future installments? And what was your favourite moment in the Venom trilogy? Let me know in the comment section below, and also don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. and subscribe to my channel if you are new, and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thanks for watching. Tom Hardy remains an endearing and effective star, but even most die-hard fans may agree that Venom, The Last Dance's storyline runs too chaotically on identical threads.